Henyard says she is endorsing a new board, but not announcing who they are just yet. Instead, promising to name them later this month. Henyard is under investigation by the...
Now she's teasing a big announcement that she claims will result in some of her opponents being arrested.
In Dalton, Illinois, Mayor Tiffany Henyard's re-election party is stirring up significant discussion, particularly due to its hefty $50 entrance fee. This prize point not only sets a tone of exclusivity, but also raises questions about the nature of fundraising and political strategy in the face of ongoing controversies surrounding her. Administration Henyard's time in office has been tumultuous, characterized by allegations of mismanagement, voter suppression, and questionable appointments. These issues have created a deeply divided community, and the high cost of the re-election event has sparked debate about its implications for campaign finance and the overall state of leadership in Dalton. Critics argue that asking supporters to pay such a steep entry is a sign of desperation, especially amid allegations of financial misconduct within her administration. Concerns have been voiced about the misallocation of taxpayer money, and many residents are questioning the mayor's fiscal responsibility for the association. Skeptics, the event feels less like a genuine campaign effort and more like a tactic to address financial shortfalls left unaccounted for during her tenure. Supporters of Henyard, however, offer a contrasting view. They defend the entrance fee as a demonstration of her strength and resilience as a leader, asserting that her ability to rally financial and public support reflects political savvy, even in the face of intense scrutiny. This perspective suggests that the mayor is capable of navigating the turbulent waters of local politics and can still attract loyal supporters willing to invest in her campaign. Nonetheless, the decision to impose such a high entry fee raises significant concerns about inclusivity. While it may galvanize some constituents, it risks alienating others, particularly those struggling with economic hardships. The divide between Henyard supporters and detractors underscores broader issues within Dalton regarding access to leadership and the socioeconomic realities faced by many residents given the local challenges, including rising crime and governance instability. The notion of paying $50 to support a leader embroiled in controversy feels burdensome to many. Henyard has cultivated a narrative as a tenacious, polarized ring figure who often portrays herself as a victim of political attacks. She dismisses her critics as motivated by envy or ambition. This re-election party, with its hefty price tag, fits into that narrative, serving as both a display of her self-proclaimed resilience and a test of her supporters' loyalty. How her base interprets this high-cost event, whether as a bold act of defiance or a tone-deaf gesture, remains to be seen. As the community grapples with trust issues and governance challenges, the implications of this fundraising strategy become even more critical. Critics argue that events like Henyard's re-election party exacerbate existing divides and create a spectacle in an already contentious political landscape. Ongoing debates about her administration's record, including allegations of backdoor dealings and poor departmental appointments, highlight the complex dynamics at play. Ultimately, Hen's re-election bid seems to be as much about solidifying her legacy as it is about regaining public trust, a trust that continues to waver. By framing her campaign around high-profile events, she reinforces an image of a leader who thrives on conflict and spectacle. However, residents must consider whether such tactics truly serve Dalton's long-term interest. This re-election party encapsulates broader questions about how much residents are willing or able to invest in their leadership. While some view the steep entry fee as a sign of strength, others see it as a continuation of an administration marked by high-stakes decisions and unresolved controversies. As the night unfolds and funds are raised, one thing is clear: Henyard's leadership continues to dominate discussions in Dalton, leaving many to ponder whether this latest move will bolster her support or expose her vulnerabilities in a community yearning for unity and stability.
Of 2025, yet Tiffany Henyard has officially decided she wants to stay as mayor despite the cloud of controversy.
Since taking office in 2021, Tiffany Henyard's tenure as mayor of Dalton, a modest town of about 200 residents just south of Chicago, has unfolded like a high-stakes political drama, marked by controversy, accusations, and intrigue. Her administration has been criticized for financial mismanagement, corruption, abuse of authority, and allegations of using the local police force to intimidate political opponents. Critics, including former allies, accused Henyard of a consistent pattern of misusing public funds and engaging in wasteful expenditures, even using town revenues for personal interests. This cloud of controversy has destabilized Dalton, which is already grappling with significant financial struggles, raising serious doubts about Henyard's ability to prioritize the needs of her constituents. Accusations of directing resources toward personal financial enterprises and questionable financial dealings have intensified frustration among residents who feel actions are out of sync with their communal struggles and lacking in value. Are contributing to the town's decline. Many citizens and local officials question whether she is genuinely working for Dalton's betterment or using her position for a personal gain. Critics highlight her alleged financial practices and perceived lack of transparency, arguing that these have worsened the town's problems rather than addressing its critical needs as unrest grows. Even some of Henyard's former allies have voiced concern over what they perceive as an administration prioritizing personal ambition over public service. This sentiment deepens local discontent, with residents openly questioning her leadership abilities and expressing doubts about her intentions to seek re-election despite the growing opposition. Henyard remains determined, pushing forward with a re-election campaign which some interpret as defiance, while others see it as audacity in the face of mounting criticism. Her recent announcement of a re-election launch party has been viewed by many as an attempt to signal unwavering confidence amid the adversities surrounding her tenure. However, for many Dalton residents, this move appears tone-deaf and out of touch with the pressing challenges the community faces. Public frustration has intensified as residents grapple with stagnant progress and a growing sense of neglect from an administration perceived to be more focused on political theatrics than on urgent issues confronting the town. Under Hen's leadership, who has experienced significant unrest, many residents see her tenure as a flash show that has magnified the town's struggles rather than alleviating them. Allegations of mismanagement and divisive leadership have made her a polarizing figure, drawing both staunch defenders and fervent critics into an increasingly bitter debate over her legacy, while supporters praise her resilience and determination to navigate political turmoil. Detractors argue that her boldness is less about courage and more about dismissiveness, as she seems to brush off criticisms and concerns from the public and her peers. Henyard's actions have shaped a contentious political landscape, forcing Dalton to confront difficult questions about governance and leader accountability. Her decision to pursue re-election with the powers that be we're mentioning was absolutely necessary, and a physical act of exercise that administrative assistants were already required to follow. Her underscores these tensions, with critics viewing it as a symptom of an administration unwilling to address its shortcomings. In contrast, supporters interpret it as evidence of her steadfast resolve to push forward despite adversity. The stakes surrounding Henry's re-election campaign are high, placing Dalton at a crossroads. The outcome could significantly shape the town's future for years to come. For her supporters, her continued pursuit of leadership represents an opportunity for stability and a reaffirmation of the bold vision she claims to champion. For detractors, the re-election bid is a critical juncture, a chance to hold her accountable for what they perceive as failed leadership or risk further entrenching the town in dysfunction and division. As these competing narratives clash, a sense of uncertainty looms over Dalton residents, are left grappling with the implications of Henyard tenure and the decisions made under her administration, making the upcoming election not just a political contest, but a pivotal moment in the town's history.
Board meeting because business has not gotten done at 2 previous meetings, so that's some progress there, but this meeting was not.
Tiffany Henyard's term is Mayor Dalton, a small town of about 200 residents just south of Chicago, began in 2021 and has since unfolded like a high-stakes political drama filled with intrigue, accusations, and scandals that could rival any primetime television show. Her leadership style has faced constant criticism, with key complaints center around allegations of financial mismanagement, corruption, abuse of power, and accusations of intimidating political opponents with the assistance of the local police force. Henyard's opponents, including both former allies and rivals, accuse her of a persistent pattern of squandering public funds, making unnecessary expenditures, and diverting town revenues for personal gain. This cloud of scandal has further destabilized the town, already grappling with severe financial difficulties, raising doubts about Han's ability to prioritize the interest of her constituents and reenacting gains that gives her an alibi that makes no distinction between what was right and what was heretical. Her role as a public-serving resident are increasingly irate over her actions, which they perceive as out of step with their collective hardships and contributing to the town's deterioration. Allegations that she has allocated funds to personal endeavors or engaged in dubious financial transactions have prompted both town officials and residents to question whether she is genuinely working to improve Dalton or merely abusing her position for personal benefit. The perception of her administration's self-serving agenda has been fueled by critics who cite her questionable financial practices and its apparent lack of transparency. They argue that these actions have exacerbated the town's problems rather than addressing its urgent needs. This sentiment has resonated deeply that some of Hen's former supporters have joined a chorus of disapproval, expressing alarm over what they see as an administration prioritizing personal ambition over public service. As this discontent festers, local dissatisfaction has only increased. Residents publicly express mistrust in her ability to lead, particularly as she prepares to run for re-election. Despite the growing resistance, Henyard remains undaunted, pushing forward with her plans for a re-election campaign that some interpret as a show of defiance, while others view it as audacity in the face of escalating criticism. Her recent announcement of a re-election launch party has been seen by many as an attempt to convey her steadfast confidence in overcoming the challenges surrounding her administration. However, to many Dalton residents, this action appears tone-deaf and disconnected from the urgent issues facing the community. Citizens are struggling with stagnant progress and a mounting sense of neglect from an administration perceived to be more focused on political showmanship than addressing pressing problems under Henyard's leadership. Dalton has endured significant turmoil and circumstances 10 years ago when he was made the U.S. Treasurer of the World Bank. And since being expelled from U.S. soil after an outskirting of insurrection on the island, Many locals view her term as a flash show that has exacerbated rather than alleviated the town's challenges. Accusations of poor management and polarizing leadership have positioned her as a contentious figure, drawing both AR supporters and fervent critics into an increasingly acrimonious debate over her legacy. While her supporters commend her tenacity in navigating political unrest, detractors argue that her boldness is more indicative of dismissiveness than courage, as she seems to ignore critiques and concerns raised by both the public and her peers. Hen's actions have shaped a contentious political environment that forces Dalton to confront difficult questions about the direction of his governance and the accountability of his leaders. These conflicts are further underscored by her decision to run for re-election, with some viewing it as a sign that her administration is unwilling to confront its failings, while others see it as a testament to her unwavering determination to succeed despite adversity. The outcome of Henyard's re-election campaign could significantly impact the town's future for years to come, placing Dalton at a critical crossroads for her supporters. Her continued pursuit of leadership represents an opportunity for stability and a reaffirmation of the bold vision she claims to champion. Conversely, for her critics, the re-election bid serves as a pivotal moment, a chance to hold her accountable for what they perceive as failed leadership or risk further entrenching the town in dysfunction and division. Residents of Dalton are left to grapple with the ramifications of Hen's tenure and the choices made during her administration. As these conflicting narratives collide, many feel unsettled, uncertain about the direction in which their town is headed. The question remains, will Henyard's self-assurance in the face of mounting criticism resonate with voters, or will it deepen existing discontent? One thing is clear, the drama surrounding her political career has cast a spotlight on Dalton's struggles, forcing residents to confront the realities of their leadership and the urgent need for change as the political landscape continues to evolve. The residents of Dalton find themselves at a pivotal moment, weighing the implications of their mayor's actions against their hopes for the community's future.
First time in many weeks, Dalton trustees and Mayor Tiffany Henyard held a public meeting together.
Despite the mounting controversies, Tiffany Henyard is resolutely seeking re-election. In a controversial move, she proposed a wage ordinance aimed at lowering the salary of her potential successor if she loses, raising questions about her motives and commitment to the community. Adding to the drama, a federal investigation into her financial practices began earlier this year, with authorities issuing subpoenas to gather information. This investigation reportedly examines allegations of financial misconduct, including claims that Henyard has used taxpayer funds for personal expenses. The scrutiny extends to financial records from both Dalton and nearby Thornton Township, where she also serves as a supervisor. If these allegations hold true, they could involve thousands of dollars spent on upscale hotels, dining, and Amazon purchases. Henyard has maintained a relatively stable but guarded stance regarding the investigation. While she denies any wrongdoing, she has been careful not to reveal too much information. In a recent Facebook Live broadcast, she addressed some of the accusations. While short, but failed to provide concrete evidence to clear her name, instead she launched into a nearly 90-minute tirade, blaming her opponents for the town's problems, promising to spill the tea later. The strategy may not resonate well with the citizens and trustees at Dalton, many of whom are increasingly fed up with the status quo and calling for change. Jason House, a member of the Clean House slate running against her, has been vocal about the need for accountability and transparency at public meetings. One resident even asked this as an embarrassment to Dalton, "Why won't you step down?" It's a fair question. But Henyard appears determined to cling to her position in her quest to maintain power. Henyard has resorted to bold tactics, even threatening to have her political opponents arrested. During a Facebook Live session, she stated that she would file charges against several individuals. Though she did not specify the offenses, this move raises eyebrows, especially considering she is currently facing an eviction lawsuit for unpaid rent. Her landlord, Janelle, recently revealed on Facebook that Henyard and her partner, Kamal Woods, have not paid rent since August and owe thousands of dollars, reports indicate. They have even changed the locks on the property to prevent H from entering Henyard. Once a friend of his now finds herself in a legal battle with Hall, unable to serve eviction papers due to Hen's avoidance, given the ongoing federal inquiry into her spending and her mounting financial issues. Hen's position is precarious for someone attempting to lead a community. The confluence of her alleged financial misconduct, threats against opponents, and personal legal troubles paints a troubling picture as she campaigns for re-LCT with residents increasingly seeking accountability and change. The stakes have never been higher for Henyard as she navigates this tumultuous landscape.
Showed up here to see her tenant in person after she says Henyard has been dodging both her and rent payments.
Tiffany Henyard's tenure as mayor of Dalton has been marred by allegations of financial impropriety, misuse of public resources, and questionable leadership, making her re-election campaign a focal point of controversy and public debate. Sent to the criticism are claims of extravagant misuse of the village's credit card, including a staggering $443,000 Amazon shopping spree, alongside thousands of dollars spent on upscale dining, entertainment, and meals. Travel, all while Dalton's finances remain in dire straits. These alleged missteps have fueled skepticism about her priorities as residents grapple with the disconnect between their financial struggles and her apparent disregard for fiscal responsibility. Adding to the controversy is her contentious use of police officers as a personal security detail. Following a protest after a shooting in 2021, former Dalton Police Chief Robert Collins, who was later fired by Henyard, alleged that she racked up over $1 million in overtime pay for officers serving as her bodyguards. More troubling are Collins's claims that these officers were often assigned to run personal errands for the mayor, such as picking up her daughter from school or accompanying her on shopping trips. Such allegations suggest a troubling pattern of misusing public resources for personal interests, compounding residents' frustrations over an administration that seems out of touch with their concerns. Henyard's critics argue that these practices symbolize a broader issue of unchecked power and an erosion of ethical governance. Collins further alleged that Henyard instructed him to target specific individuals for harassment, heightening accusations of abuse of authority and the misuse of law enforcement for personal vendettas. These claims paint a disturbing picture of a leadership style characterized by coercion, intimidation, and a lack of transparency, further undermining public trust in her administration. The timing of Henyard's re-election bid has raised questions about her motivations, with some perceiving it as a desperate attempt to retain power amid growing opposition. The $50 admission fee for her re-election party has sparked additional criticism, as residents question whether such a bold fundraising move is appropriate, given Dalton's financial struggles and the allegations against her. Administration detractors see the campaign as a defiant stance in the face of mounting evidence of misconduct, while her supporters frame it as a testament to her resilience and determination to move past controversies. Hen's unapologetic approach to her campaign suggests she remains confident in her ability to weather criticism. However, this confidence is not universally shared in a community increasingly divided over her leadership. For many residents, the re-election bid symbolizes a choice between endorsing the status quo or pushing for a fresh start amid growing disillusionment with local governance. The use of village resources has become a focal point in the ongoing debate about her administration, raising broader concerns about leadership accountability and ethical decision-making. Critics argue that her alleged actions, misusing public funds and exploiting law enforcement for personal gain, have tarnished Dalton's reputation and weakened its already fragile financial standing. They question whether she genuinely believes she is the best person to lead the community, or if her re-election campaign is a calculated effort to avoid potential legal or political fallout. Meanwhile, her supporters continue to defend her as a strong, decisive leader, facing unfair scrutiny from political adversaries, framing the allegations as part of a larger effort to discredit her tenure. Yet the optics of her actions, particularly the overtime expenses for her security detail and the alleged targeting of specific individuals, have only deepened suspicions and fueled calls for accountability. Critics also highlight the contradiction between her campaign's portrayal of progress and the reality of a town plagued by financial instability and public dissatisfaction. The $50 admission charge for her re-election party has drawn sharp criticism, with some residents expressing outrage over what they see as an audacious fundraising strategy that ignores the struggles of everyday citizens. This fee, paired with ongoing allegations of lavish spending, reinforces the perception that Henyard is disconnected from the realities facing her constituents. While her confidence remains unshaken, the narrative surrounding her re-election campaign underscores the growing chasm between her administration and the community she serves. In a time of significant challenges, many residents are left wondering whether they can trust their leader to prioritize their needs over personal interests. Thank you for watching Nexa News.